I didn't carry Milana in my womb for 9 months, but in my heart and in my soul, I've carried her way more than 9 months. She's been a product of our years of prayer and years of conversations with God, and she's ours. You know, she's ours, really and truly. Like, she's ours. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you get what I mean.
When I was asked that question, I realized na, oh nga, how did I overcome that? I think by just God appointing me. He's mine. Moses is mine. God qualified me by giving him to me. So, dun pa lang, nakakalma na yung fears ko na, oh nga, I'm his real mom. Ako yung mom niya. God already qualified me for it. So, he gave Moses to me, so I'm the real mom. And regardless of what happens in the future, my son wanted to meet his biological family one day.
Being a mom starts with really the decision. Once you say yes, because people are so afraid to say yes because they want to feel like the mom first. No, you say yes, and then you feel like a mom. You'll just feel that protective side of you, I guess.
Well, I would advise parents who adopted their child to tell their adopted child as early as possible. You know, the younger, the better. You know, and let them say it in a positive way that they're a gift from God.
I think it's teaching me, like I said earlier, just the heart of God is all about sacrifice, and he left the 99 to go after the one. He sacrificed his son to adopt, and learning how to love first with Chloe, and understanding that kind of sacrificial love where it's not about biology and it's about deciding and choosing, and that it's a privilege. It's really teaching me, you know, that love is action. Love is sacrifice.
It's not about just providing for your family. It's not providing for your family. It's about raising the next generation and allowing them to, you know, to be impacted by Jesus the way Jesus impacted you. You know, and how you model that. How can you model if you're not home? How can you model and mentor if you're not home?
Actually, we coin it this way. First, we say, bring your mission home.
Okay.
Everybody has a mission by heart, right? I can't figure out what my mission is. And everyone knows, okay, I give my tithes, I give my money, but there's something I want to do on my own. But I can't go to Timbuktu, I can't go to Africa, I can't go, what's my mission? So we coined the phrase. I said, it's very simple. Bring your mission home.
One way or another, God's going to make sure he's going to provide for you, for your needs, for that child's need. Just do the right part. You know, someone once said, stop asking God to bless what you're doing. Find out what God's doing because it's already blessed. So I think that we all need to look at, okay, let's not look at what's in front of us as far as finances and our circumstance and all this. Let's just do it, and God's going to bless it somehow, some way. Let's just trust God that he's going to come through for us.
So my advice to all fathers out there, and of course to all parents who be parents, is that just be ready for it, because it's not going to be easy. Sure, yeah. But of course, all the fun that you have and the love that you're going to get from your children makes it worth it. And it's I mean, I'll do it 10 times over just to have the feeling of, you know, of having children who love you and call you daddy and call you mommy. That's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that.
I mean, 1.8 million of orphans, neglected, abandoned children. If one church could provide one family, I think by the grace of God, we can see no more orphans in our nation.
I was telling her, these are the three dads. You have your biological dad, you know what it means, right? It's putting it in your head. You have your logical dad, and you have your real dad, you know? So doing it this way until eventually, before she was 5, she was asking me the questions, and we were able to sort it out really well.
We're here because adoption was God's idea, and we hope the church would catch on to that. And so that's really the heart of the Rohe Foundation.
You will impact generations of people. Because that person will be married, will have children, and children's children. I'll tell you, the impact you make in their lives will impact future generations of people. There are no unwanted children, just unfound families. I hope we can find some of them right here in this room.
This is the truth that the world needs to hear today. That adoption is at the very heart of the gospel.
That adoption is a beautiful thing. It's not plan B. We adopted because we saw just how beautiful adoption was in the Bible.
Life was good. We were blessed. We had been married for a couple of years. We were enjoying life in Singapore, and we had a baby on the way. These were answers to our prayers. These were sources of comfort. However, comfort does have the habit of slipping away. 5 months in and one heartbeat less, we saw the perfect life we pictured slip from our grasp. There was pain, there was brokenness, there was sadness. After months of anticipating joy, we found ourselves in the middle of unimaginable grief. Across Southeast Asia and the Philippines, grief has made itself known to many parents, not due to the loss of a life, but the giving away of one. Soft hands and fragile skin sold to feed mouths and fill pockets for a day. There's no hate in the giving away, only desperation. Desperation brought about by circumstance. desperation that leads to child trafficking, infant prostitutes, child criminals, abandonment. It's tough to see the demand for such a business at such a high level. Billions of dollars being used to fund the violation of innocent bodies, some too young to even comprehend the pain. Even more, it's tough to know that this is being done in the land we grew up in, right in the city we call home. Our hearts beat for these children, so much so that it beats for a specific one. If we were to be advocates for these children, then we must first be examples. In October 2017, a pregnant mother couldn't keep her child. So with desperation, she searched for someone to be the one to hold her baby in their arms. We wanted to help, and so we did. But we never knew that it would be our hands that God would use to cradle this child. 3 weeks in, and one heartbeat more, we had her in our grasp. Our hearts were filled with love, and our souls refashioned. We are no heroes, just followers answering a call. Had we chosen to reject the call, turn our heads away, or hesitate even for a moment, our child would have been one of many whose body has become a commodity. She has one less child prostituted, one less child trafficked, one less child abandoned, one less child lost in the system, one less child victim, one less orphan. But she is just one less. There are millions of children out there who may never have access to a family, access to care, to nourishment, to shelter, to safety, to a childhood. But if more people extended their arms to these children, if the stigma behind adoption was redefined to be a culture of love, then 2 less children would be trafficked, 10 less children abandoned, 1,000 less children criminals, 1 million less children victims to this injustice. And instead, more children would be welcomed home by families. We'll treat them with love, provide them with nourishment, house them in shelter, care for their safety, and allow for them to have a childhood. Now, the call is great, but the answer is simple. It's a heart willing to serve and a courageous kind of love. It's open arms and open homes. At the Rohe Foundation, we advocate for adoption. As of 2016, 1.8 million children in the Philippines were considered abandoned or neglected. And out of that 1.8 million, only 1,818 were placed for adoption. So as a response, the Rohe Foundation aims to develop programs that provide holistic care for pregnant women in crisis, to rescue babies before they are abandoned and disowned, and to encourage and guide families in their adoption journey. Through this, we hope to see a world where every orphan is adopted into a family, and that all families would be empowered to move in compassion and generosity toward children in need of families. Because at the end of the day, family is the answer.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's live chat with Rohe Foundation. Well, we're so excited that all of you could join us this afternoon. I see people who are starting to get on the stream, a lot of friends of ours, a lot of advocates for foster care and adoption. So we're so excited that you're all here joining us this afternoon. Do share this link. You can either host a watch party, or you could, just click share and share this with your friends on Facebook. Our heart is really that the more we talk about this topic of adoption, this topic of foster care, that it would become something that we would learn to celebrate in our culture. And over the last few weeks, ever since we did our What Makes a Real Mom campaign, as well as our Love is Thicker Than Blood campaign for Mother's Day and Father's Day, I think we've just gotten to meet so many different families that have inspired us and prompted us to keep going with our live chats. So that's why we're here again today. So we're so glad that you're with us. Tag your friends, comment, share, get the word out. We want to make sure that anybody who might have the heart for adoption or might be passionate about this cause, maybe wants to volunteer, know a little bit more, might want to adopt in the future, that they'll get to find us so that we can help people get started on their adoption journey. And, that's really the heart of the Rohe Foundation. But before we get started, we do, just want to remind you to connect with us on social media. We'll be flashing our social media handles in a bit, and you can do that. We also have another live stream happening next week on Tuesday, the 28th. Am I right? Yes, the 28th at 4 p.m. One of my very good friends, Joanna Blanding, is going to be coming on to talk about how small acts make big impacts. She is the founder of Giving is Social and the author of the Giving Back Guidebook. And between her and her husband, I've learned so much from them, not just about the nonprofit world, but about how to make an impact in the way that you give and how to live a generous life. And I do think that, this is something that's going to encourage a lot of you, especially I know a lot of our volunteers and a lot of the people that help make Rohe Foundation run, believe it or not, a lot of them are young professionals, some of them still in college, that have come alongside us and really are the heart and the arms and the legs behind the Rohe Foundation. So this is for you guys. We hope you can join us next Tuesday. But before we get into our main interview for today, I wanted to introduce you guys to our social worker. Her name is Sam Kibot, and Sam is going to tell us a little bit about some of the programs that Rohe has been working on in the last few months. We've been on lockdown from ECQ to GCQ and all the different CQs that there are, but actually the work has not stopped. In fact, for Rohe Foundation, the work has picked up. We find ourselves busier than ever. And Sam's going to tell us a little bit about our Pregnant Women in Crisis program. So, okay, there's Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi. So glad that you're able to just chat with me. I don't have to talk to myself. Sam, maybe, first of all, we're so glad that Sam has been a part of the Rohe Foundation. Sam joined us just before the lockdown, and the timing could not have been more perfect because God knew we needed Sam to prepare for the weeks ahead. But Sam is a social worker, and she's been developing the heart and soul behind our Pregnant Women in Crisis program. So maybe, Sam, a lot of people ask us, what is this program? Who is it for? What's it about? Could you just give us a brief kind of like summary so people know what the PWIC program is?
Okay, so most people know that Rohe Foundation advocates for adoption, but the PWIC program, it's meant to complement that. So with the Women in Crisis program, we want the orphanhood to not occur at all. So at the beginning, some women are on crisis. They are not able to provide for the needs of their child, so they are driven to sometimes abandoning their child, selling their children to traffickers, or giving their child up for adoption. So in our program, we aim to stop that. So we give them their prenatal needs, their physical needs, so there's no need for them to give up their child. So most of the time, these mothers who at first when we met them decided that they could not take care of their child, they decided by the end that they could take care of the child and the family is preserved. So basically it's that.
Right, and I think we're so proud of this program because actually it started because we were getting a lot of moms telling us that they pregnant women in crisis, actually through our friends. Actually, it would be like different kinds of referrals, right? Who would come and say, we know this pregnant mom and she really needs help. She's in a financial crisis situation and she's not sure what she wants to do. And usually by this time, these moms have either attempted abortion already or they've already entertained traffickers, right, Sam? So we're finding they've already actually entertained traffickers online. And because of that, we're launching something really special for the pregnant women in crisis. You want to tell us about that? I know that's your baby and you've been working on that for the last month or so. It's launching this month. but we can kind of tell people a little bit about it.
So, tulong kay nanay, in the Facebook community and the social media, there are a lot of places where you could find uh, people talking about illegal adoption that does not go through the SWD, that they're just exchanging children for money. And then these places are very rife with traffickers. So sometimes these traffickers are disguised as well-meaning people who want to adopt a child, but they are just tricking the mother into selling her baby. So
Right.
you could just search in Facebook and find lots of this group in Facebook and Twitter, many sites. So it's so common. Uh, so we want to be in the social media side also, so that the pregnant mothers would not go to these groups. We want these mothers to go to the Tulong Kay Nanay page. So in that page, there will be lots of resources about how they about mother's health, about many things about motherhood, pregnancy, and also articles about the issues women face, children face, so that they would be aware of what is happening, and if ever a trafficker goes near them or talks to them, they know what to see and avoid it.
Right. Great. Thank you. I'm really excited about it. Thank you for all your hard work on that, Sam. The Tulong Kay Nanay page, it really is there because we realized that the black market for um, the adoption of babies or the selling, the trafficking of children, sometimes it's right on Facebook. And we do, as part of our advocacy, is to encourage families to, one, pursue legal adoption, and two, to make sure that these moms are not tricked into surrendering their babies or selling their babies or giving up their babies. So do check out the Tulong Kay Nanay page. I think in the next few days, and throughout the coming weeks, you're going to see a lot of new content there. And this is we're sharing this with you because some of you might know a pregnant woman in crisis. A lot of the pregnant women in crisis who have come through our program have come through referrals, friends of ours who knew of somebody or the relative of someone that they knew, and that's how we found them. And either the outcome is always great. Either there's a family that's been preserved, meaning there was no orphanhood that ever took place, that the moms decide to fully keep their babies. And we've had great stories of that. Sana next week, Sam can come back and share a little bit more about the stories we've had. Just through the lockdown, two moms decided to actually keep their babies. And then after, if that doesn't work out and the mom is really finding herself in a challenging place, the option to surrender the child for adoption legally or to place the child in a foster family is always there. And I just want to note, I see Isa Tika, Joel Mercaida, Milan, Papadopoulos, they're all on this thread. And I saw a conversation happening earlier today about we need emergency foster families ready. If you're watching this and you want to figure out how you can help, we really need emergency foster families ready. Well, we need foster families, licensed foster families to be ready so that when there's an emergency placement, these children can be directly placed in a foster family, instead of going to a children's home. And after all, we say family is the answer, and that's the best way that we can make that happen. So if you have questions about that, I see a lot of them on our feed today. They're watching, so do connect with us or connect with them directly, and I'm sure they'll be able to give you information about that. That would be very exciting. And then lastly, Sam, the other thing we're doing is we're doing online consults, right? So you're going to tell us really quickly a little bit about the online consults and who that's available for.
Yeah, so if you're following our Facebook page, you've seen announcements on online consults. So you could schedule with us an online consultation. So it's a 30-minute consultation with us. You could ask anything about adoption. If you're starting out with the adoption journey, you could ask anything about how the process is. Just anything under the sun regarding adoption process. We're here to guide you and help you start with the process.
That's great. Thanks so much, Sam. Really appreciate you. Thank you for all the work that you do. I know social workers are so underappreciated, but we love Sam a lot, and she's a gift to us. So thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
On that note, just talking about our online consults, I think one of the best things that has happened during the lockdown is one, we're forced to be online. I'm sure all of you can relate, all the Zoom meetings and all the online calls that we've been doing over the last few weeks. And for me, one of the best things that has happened is that I've been able to connect with some families that I otherwise would not have been able to connect with. And one of those families, the wife, the mom, is guesting with us today. Her name is Zen Badiola, and Zenith, Zen for short. I met her just several weeks ago, and we met her because of the live stream show that we did about a month ago for Father's Day. She had tuned in, and we saw she was so actively participating on the chat. And I said, we sent each other messages. I said, Zen, I'd really love to meet you because I can see how passionate you are about adoption, and we would love to hear your story. And I heard her story. It touched me so much. I cried the first time we spoke. But she's a nurse by practice. She's a wife to her husband, Carlo, and a mom to her beautiful son, Marko, who you're going to hear so much about this afternoon. So without further ado, let me welcome Zen Badiola to join me.
Hi, hello, Karina. Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Zen.
everyone.
Hello. I'm so glad that you said yes to us and you agreed to share your story with us through our live chat. Thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, I know adoption is something that really sits on it has a special place in your heart on a very personal level. And I think what's happened over the last few weeks is it's just grown so much that you've really become an advocate for adoption. You've ended up having to talk to so many people. We've connected so many people to Zen. We've started to connect people to Zen just because of her story and her passion for adoption. It's so inspiring. So you guys are all in for a treat today. So maybe Zen, just to get started, tell us about your story. Tell us where this all started. I know that your journey, when we put out the promos for the show, we called it a 15-year journey to adoption. Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about those 15 years? And what are some of the milestones in those 15 years that made the journey an exciting one for you?
Yeah, thank you, Karina. Wow, 15 years now that you said it. I mean, just gave me a flashback of how long it took for us to have Marco in our lives. So to start off, my husband and I, Carlo, we met in 2002, actually 2001. We came from two different places. I'm from Cebu originally, and he's from Bicol, but we met in a wedding. Very cliche because both of us were partners, candle sponsors in that wedding. But then, as life turned out, after a year, we were the ones who got married. So it was a very quick engagement, I would say. So it was a whirlwind romance. So we got married in June 2002. And then after that, when we got married, we had to live separately immediately because he was from the military. He was still in the Navy at that time, and he was destined apart again. But then after a few months, I decided to take a leave from my work and go with him to Cavite. So that's where we initially had a home. We relocated in Cavite to live near Carlo in the base where he used to work. And then that first year was, of course, just like any married couple, it was bliss. It was the honeymoon stage. And we did try to get pregnant right away because I really wanted to have a family. I mean, it was always my dream to just really be a mom. But then that first year, we didn't get pregnant. And it was okay because we felt like it was just right that we didn't get pregnant because we enjoyed each other. We really needed time to get to know each other more. And then after that first year, we decided to do a fertility workup, because we were wondering why we never got pregnant. So, and after that, the doctor advised us to do a lot of diagnostic tests, treatments. So we really did the rounds of doing all that, taking medication, but then from 2002 to 2006, nothing really happened. I never got pregnant at all. So, to take my mind off of it, I decided to, just pursue my dream. Maybe I just review for the nursing board exams in the US and maybe try to get another dream. If I can't be a mom right now, maybe I'll try to be a nurse in the U.S. and follow my family who was already based in the U.S. So I did just that. But then that dream of mine resulted to Carlo and me having to live apart in two different locations, because at that time he was already a pilot. He started being a pilot in a commercial airline pilot. So both of our dreams took flight literally, but in different directions. So I had to live in the US while Carlo had to stay here in the Philippines to work as a pilot. So I worked there straight for 2 years. He just went there to visit me every 6 months. It was very difficult, but we managed because I felt like our relationship was already strong enough to withstand being apart. And then in 2009, we started to really think to take the first step in trying to have a baby. We did in vitro fertilization because we were able to save enough money and we really wanted to seriously plan to have a baby. But then it was very like a roller coaster ride, I would say, because like when you go there, you're very excited, you're very hopeful that it's going to be successful. They do the implantation. They were able to get a lot of good um, eggs from me. A couple of good embryos were made. But then after a few weeks, it was negative. So we can just imagine how heartbreaking it was that we were so excited, but in a few matter of weeks, the dream was dashed. So I told my Carlo that, you know what, hon, I'm never doing any fertility workup again. It's just so heartbreaking. I mean, how many times do we have to go through this again? And I said to him, that's it. When it comes to scientific intervention, personally for me, in vitro is, that's it. I mean, I can't do anything else anymore. For me, I mean, that's where I'm not doing anything anymore. And he accepted that. I mean, he was very, he really respected my decision. But at that time, he already told me, like, Han, why don't we adopt? Like, adoption? Like, no way I'm gonna adopt. Because you know why I had this really strong reaction? Because I grew up believing that adoption is not a good thing. I mean, that's just how I was introduced to it when I was younger. So, he wanted to adopt. I was not ready. I was not gonna adopt at all. So after that failed in vitro fertilization, I went back to the US to be a nurse again. I stayed there for a couple of years, and then 2012 came. My husband told me that, you know what, hon, we have to be together. I mean, we got married because we want to be together, but we're living, in separate locations. That's just not what a marriage makes. So he asked me to, come here, stay in the Philippines with me, and let's just be together, and maybe who knows, we can start having a family again. So I did just that in 2012. I went home, but I told my husband, like, Han, this time around we're not going to do any fertility workup. I mean, let's just leave it as it is. If we get pregnant, we get pregnant. If not, then that's fine. I mean, we're happy anyway, just the two of us. So that was in 2012. And in 2015, somebody close to us offered to conceive for us. I mean, literally give us a baby.
Wow.
So we were surprised. Like, really? Do people do that? I mean, is somebody as kind-hearted as that? Are they willing to really do that? So at first we were not sure, but then they were very nice people. They're very, very kind, like honest people. So when eventually I did warm up to the idea that they were really gonna give us a baby, and the wife really did get pregnant. So we were excited. I allowed myself to get excited for the first time. I told myself, like, you know what, you're probably really gonna be a mother. That's really gonna happen for you. So the baby was born. She was a girl. The baby girl was born in summer of that year of 2015. We were very happy. She was healthy. We were able to bring her home that first day after she was discharged. It was so exciting. I mean, that first night with her, we barely slept. I mean, I was just looking at her, just making sure she was still breathing. I mean, I guess that's what, normal first time parents do. But then the next day, the biological parents came to our house and they told us that, you know what, we were just so sad. We can't be without her. I think we did not think through with our decision. So right then and there, I saw their faces. They didn't even have to tell me anything. I really felt right away that this is not right. Like, we're happy, but they're sad. I don't think it's right to be happy at the expense of other people. So I made a decision. I gave their baby back and told them that this baby is for you. I mean, yes, we already love her, but she belongs to you. That there's no other family that she belongs to but for you guys. So after that, it was again, my heart was broken. I mean, I was traumatized. I'd say it was more heartbreaking that than the negative in vitro, because we already had the baby in our home. I already bought her stuff. I allowed myself to love her, but then I had to return her. But guess what? God has His way of filling our hearts again, because after a few months, the biggest surprise of our lives came. I got pregnant. We did not do any fertility workup. I just got pregnant. I don't know why. I mean, of course I know why, but we cannot explain how it happened. I guess God felt like, this is the time for you to get pregnant. So it was amazing. The feeling was amazing. Finally, I am pregnant. My dream came true. It's just what we've been waiting for after 13 years of marriage. That pregnancy, even though it was a very difficult one, because I had bleeding every single month. I mean, I was very prone to bleeding. My OB told me that I have to be on bed rest. It was fine. I mean, I was very happy because I was pregnant. I didn't have any other side effects. I didn't even have any nausea, vomiting. No, nothing of that sort. I was just really in maternal bliss, I would say. Even if I was advised by my doctor to just be on bed the whole time. However, on my I think that was the 29th week of my pregnancy, I just woke up with a lot of bleeding. I was so shocked, like I was screaming. I told my husband, like, "Han, come on, we have to go to the hospital right away. There's just so much blood. This is not normal anymore." So I went to the hospital. I stayed in the maternal intensive care unit for, I think, a week. My doctor, I love my doctor so much. She's so nice. She did everything that she can to prevent me from giving birth early. But then my baby's heart was starting to get erratic, so she had to make the difficult decision to do emergency C-section. So our baby was born as a boy, April 24, 2016. I was half awake while they did the surgery with the cesarean delivery, and I can really, the first time I heard him cry, it was amazing. I was still I was awake. I can really remember it distinctly. I heard him cry. It was just so amazing for me to finally hear our baby cry. He's true, because at first I was in disbelief that I was able to, you know um deliver him alive. He was healthy, but he was just premature. He was only 30 weeks, but the neonatologist told us that I don't see anything concerning, like, immediate concerns about your baby. He's fine. I don't see any congenital problems. He's just small. That's it. He's just premature as expected. So I had to be discharged, and I had to leave my son in the hospital. So though it was heartbreaking to to leave the hospital without our baby, but still we were happy because finally he's alive. He's gonna be in good hands. We got him the best care that we can afford, so he's gonna be fine. He's God's perfect gift to us. He's gonna be okay. But then on the ninth day, somebody called us at the hospital. They told us, come to the NICU right away. I mean, we just want to check you out. We want to check your blood. And I said, okay, I don't know what's wrong, but we'll go. On the way, my husband and I were praying. We were in, SLEX, we were just praying. I was kind of worried, but really, why should I worry? I mean, our son is a miracle from God. I mean, he should be protected because he is God's perfect miracle. The moment I went inside the NICU, I heard the monitors right away, the cardiac monitor, beeping, and I know what's happening. I mean, I cannot believe that was our baby. It's like, are you sure that's my baby? I mean, how could this be happening? Why is he in trouble? They did everything they can. They called all kinds of help for our son, but then the neonatologist was, asking me. She was explaining to me, "Mommy, we have to stop it, the resuscitation, because it's getting futile. I mean, we can't do anything anymore." But I was not hearing any of it. Like, it really did not connect to my brain what she was saying. So it took, good thing my aunt was in Manila at the time. She's a doctor, but she's a nun. I asked her to come to us here in the hospital. I told her, come here. Can you come here? Can you explain to me what this doctor's telling me? She wants me to stop the resuscitation. And I know what that means. That means my baby's going to die. Like, I'm not going to do that. How can she ask me to do that?
Right.
But then, my aunt told me that, you know what, Zen, we have to accept it. We have to accept it. You're a nurse. You know what happens when, the brain does not have oxygen, even for a while. You know what will happen. So you have to accept it. Though hard as it may be, you have to accept it, and we have to ask them to stop the resuscitation. It was just a good thing that at that time, before we did that, there was priest in the hospital, so he was able to baptize her son. It was very important to us that he got baptized. And then I told them, like, okay, stop it. It was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. So when they stopped the resuscitation, my aunt told me that, you have to hold your baby. I told her, no, I can't. That's not the baby that came out of me. I mean, that's not the baby I delivered. He doesn't look the same anymore. He's small. He has so much, he lost so much blood. So I didn't want to hold my son because I was afraid that's not our baby anymore. But she said, okay, to compromise, let's just wrap your baby so you can just carry him, because I feel like you might regret it if we, have him buried and yet you're not able to carry him. So I did just that, and immediately, I mean, I don't know what happened, but I just saw a vision of Mother Mary. I saw her holding my son. My son is in heaven. She was cradling my son, and I told Mother Mary that, okay, he's in heaven now. You are the perfect example of a mother. I trust you with my son. I will give my son to you, and please take care of my son. And I asked her, hopefully someday you can allow me to be a mother too. I mean, I'm not gonna let go of that dream. So during that time when he died May 3rd. It was very difficult. I mean, I don't know how we survived personally. I had to deal with the pain of having a cesarean delivery, but it was just a blur. I mean, I really don't know how I survived. But then, unlike the other times that I was sad, this time I told myself I have to hold on to God. I cannot not pray. I mean, there are times that I'm angry at him, but it's okay. I mean, I have to tell God what's inside my heart, and I have to allow Him to still be in my life. So I allowed myself to have a little space of hope in my heart. So I went to church. I heard mass. I listened to the gospels. There were so many gospels that really spoke to me. And one thing that I really remembered was that day when we buried our son. We had him cremated. He's in columbarium. The gospel at that day, First Friday Mass, was about Jesus telling the disciples that someday I will come back. I mean, I know you are hurt right now. Your joy was taken from you, but someday I will come back, and I will give that joy back. These are such powerful words that I really held on. I mean, how can it be, like my son just died, and here is Jesus telling me that someday I will give your joy back. So somehow gave me a lot of hope that I said, okay, Jesus, I heard that. So from that moment on, that was a first Friday, I told myself that I'm gonna, be a devotee of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. So after that, I went to mass every first Friday. And then there were other instances where really God reminded me, I'll take care of you. I even, like, for me, God even gave me a dog. I'm not a pet lover. I never liked dogs, but then I allowed myself to love a dog because I needed something to love. My maternal, hormones were just so strong. So I even had a dog. And then I was December of that year, that was 2016. It was one of our saddest Christmas ever because, we were supposed to have a baby, but then we had no baby to love. We even were not able to spend it at home because I just can't imagine being here in the house at that time. So we had to stay with my husband's cousin in Hong Kong just to celebrate Christmas there. And then during one of the gospels, God reminded us of the gospel of Zechariah and Elizabeth. Elizabeth was already old. Both of them were very old, but then they still had, John the Baptist. So I told God, like, here you go again. Okay. I'll hold on to your promise again. I mean, I'm listening, Lord. I mean, I know one day being a mother is in my destiny. So that was December. And then, you know what? February came in, I just woke up really calm, happy. I really cannot explain it, but all of a sudden, I just felt like God was telling me, there is adoption then. Why are you so afraid of it? And I said, like, yeah, why am I afraid of it? Like, why do I have so much bias over it? So I told my husband this, and of course he was very happy. He's like, yeah, hon, I've been waiting for you to tell me that for the longest time. Let's do it. So I told my husband, like, you know what, hon, let's just wait for the first death anniversary of our baby. He died on a May 3rd, so let's just wait after May 3. Let's let's go. Let's try to adopt. Let's submit all our documents. And but this time I told him, I have my conviction is very strong that if this adoption is going to be for us, the process is going to be smooth. That's just how God is. If this is for you, He gives it to you on a silver platter. And you know what? Guess what? That experience, we went to KBF, Kaisahang Buhay Foundation.
Yes, let
Um,
me go see Miss Glenda.
yes, yes. So we went there. We did the pre-adoption forum. We met our social worker, Miss Mirna. She's amazing. We love her so much, and I really felt like that first instant will already match even with our social worker, even with our KBF. So yeah, so that was May. We submitted our documents, and then she told us December of that same year, just a few months after, she gave us a text. We have a match. Like, really? I mean, that's it. After, we have a match. Okay, so I know exactly what that meant, because that meant that, the matching committee was able to find a baby for us. And the next day, we're going to be able to see his file. So, it's very exciting. So before we went to KBF, I dropped by the Adoration Chapel. I prayed, and I really asked Jesus to please help me. Please open my heart to this boy. Whatever bias I have, just guide my hand. Just open my heart. And when we went to KBF, I talked to Miss Mirna. She showed me the file of our boy. The first page I saw him was wearing red. He was super cute. Like, oh, bonus, he's cute. Like, okay, he kind of looks like my dad. I kind of, I
He
see
looks
my
like
dad,
you. To me,
dad
he
in
looks
him.
a lot like you. There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, he does. So when I was looking at the picture, like, okay, he's cute. That's how they do it. They give you a picture. They give you the first page, the information page.
Right.
What really struck me was his birthday. I was just taken aback because when I looked at his birthday is September 8th. That's the birthday of our Virgin Mother, Mother Mary. So I had goosebumps all over. I held my husband's arm. I told him, "Han, look at the birthday. I mean, what does that tell you? This is our son. There's no other reason. I mean, there's no other explanation. We just went to Jesus. We just prayed to Jesus. We asked him to open our hearts. And here is our son. His birthday is Mother Mary's birthday." And you know what? I told my husband, whatever we read in the succeeding pages, it will not matter anymore. We'll accept this boy outright. Right away, we'll accept him just by virtue of his birthday without even seeing him at all. So Miss Mirna was very surprised. Like, really? I mean, you're gonna accept him? You don't need like a day to think it over? Like, no, we're gonna accept him. We wrote the acceptance letter, and then immediately the next day we went to the orphanage. And true enough, he was amazing. He's cute. His pictures don't do him justice at all. He was so adorable. It was just a dream come true. I mean, after the heartbreak to waiting for so long, it just felt right. I mean, I don't know if that's what they call the luksong dugo, whatever they call that, but really, I just felt right away that this is our son. I am his mom, and we belong together.
So
So
cute.
this is Marco, yeah. And it's been 3 years after that. This boy is a revelation every day. He's just so funny. He has a sunshiny personality. His favorite color is yellow. So just this tells you what kind of a person he is. Just
Wow.
look at that face, yes. So really, we're very, very grateful to God. We're very happy of how we got him. We're very proud of how he was given to us, and especially during this time, during this pandemic. I mean, there's so many uncertainties, but I don't know, this boy is just sunshine. He's just a ray of sunshine. He just makes us laugh and just happiness all over. So we're very lucky. And in hindsight, I think God really knows me so well. He knows me so well that he gave me my dream. I wanted to be pregnant. He gave that to me. He knows that for me to be able to open my heart to adoption, I really have to feel the pain of loss. That's why my heart is now wide open. I love my boy. I love adoption so much. So I really believe in it.
Yeah, Zen, I mean, I was getting teary-eyed again hearing your story because if you think about where God has taken you and how your faith has sustained you, you see, you're clearly a woman of faith, and your relationship with God is something that sustained you through the roller coaster ride that the last 15 years have been for you and Carlo. But I think about coming from a place of grief and disappointment, great disappointment after disappointment, and even IVF falling through, a direct placement and a direct placement with all of the risks. Yung biggest fear ng anybody na nag-direct placement nangyari sa'yo.
Yes, immediately.
That's really what we tell people. That's really the risk involved. And it happened to you. It's heartbreaking. And then facing another heartbreak of, just the ups and downs, the joy of being pregnant and losing your child. And I can relate very much to that grief. I just realized when you were sharing that our babies were born on the same day. My daughter Celine was born on April 24th, 2016. So we were delivering our babies on the same day,
Yes.
and surrendering them back to God shortly after that. And I think about that, and I think maybe that's why your story resonated with me so much, because I just hear so much of that same journey, that similar journey. And I know that it's true for other people as well. They actually have to go through a place of grief first before their heart is ready to adopt. I don't know if that makes sense to you, if that resonates with you as well. But I find that sometimes the journey is part of it. We go through sometimes so many disappointments before we reach that place where God has prepared our heart for adoption. And I think that's why many are so encouraged by your story. I'm just reading the chat on the side, and so many people seem to love you and your family, seem to be blessed by your story. This is not, this can't be the last time that you share it in a public place. You share your story so articulately, and the heart of your story is really so inspiring. But I do have a couple of questions for you, because I know that what I love about your story is that you had such a great experience with agency adoption. And I love the way you talked about KBF and your social worker. You had such a great social worker. And I do want to highlight that, because sometimes there's a lot of fear about having to go through an agency or having to go through the SWD. And I just wanted to ask you, can you share, what advice would you have, or what advice would you have for families who are considering going through adoption and considering going with an agency like, let's say, KBF, or the other one would be Norfil? But what kind of tips would you have for them, or advice in terms of preparation for them to actually take that step and do something about it?
I think from my experience, Rina, I would just really say, before you even consider, going to any forum, or, trying to know what are the requirements, just ask yourself first, like, why do I want to adopt? I think that's very important, because you have to come from a place of, genuine love. Like, for me, the only reason why you should adopt is because you really genuinely want to love another human being. That's it. And for me, it took the pain of losing a child to be able to open my heart to that, to really genuinely say that I'm ready to adopt, and I will love whoever God will give to me, regardless of where that baby comes from. So I think that's what any prospective, couple or single person would like to consider when they want to adopt. Ask yourself first, why do I want to adopt? You have to come from a place of, genuine love for another human being. And the next, you can, decide, you either go to DSWD or KBF or Norfil. Those are the two authorized agencies. I would really tell you to do it legally. Why? because there's just so much protection if you do it legally. I mean, your rights and the rights of the child are protected, and these people have been doing it for decades. I mean, they know what they're doing. You just have to really trust that they have your best interest in mind as well, especially most of the child. So, go through it legally. There's just no other option but to do it legally. So you can either go through the route of DSWD or KBF or Northfield. So for our experience, we did it through KBF. And you know what, Karina? I've known about KBF even for, way before we adopted. I just came across KBF while I was in the States. I was just Googling adoption in the Philippines, and KBF was the one that came up. So I already knew about KBF, even if I didn't want to adopt. I just knew about them. So, and that's why when my husband and I have decided to adopt, I told them, you know what, hon, let's just go to KBF. That's the first that came out when I was googling adoption. So let's try to see what KBF is all about. So they're based in Quezon City. We went there. We attended like the adoption forum. Miss Mirna was the one who did it. Who eventually became our social worker. It was just a very good experience because she was very upfront about it. She was just so honest about it, and her heart was really into it. She was just so passionate. It was just so infectious the way she shared to us the during that adoption forum. And when we did it, they did a lot of questions, assessments. We did a lot of multiple rounds of assessments, and because they really wanted to know if we our desire to adopt is really genuine. I mean, it's not because we want to fix our marriage, we want this baby to take care of us when we're older, because that shouldn't be the reason why you want to adopt. So I appreciate everything that she did to us in terms of assessment. So and she also emphasized to us that in adoption we have to make sure that your marriage is stable, because these kids, I mean, these children do not come from perfect families. They already felt trauma and rejection the first time. We don't want them to go through that again. That's why we're very particular about how strong your marriage is, or what is really your intention when you adopt. So she did all that, and she did house visits. It was a lot of process. A lot of papers were given back and forth, but it was just smooth. I mean, really, just like what I told you before. Even from the matching, even the way KBF was brought to us, it was already match made in heaven, I would say. And then when we did the matching, I really trusted these people who were in the matching committee. The ones in the matching committee are from DSWD, because even if we went through KBF, the
Correct.
entire adoption, legal adoption, still had to go through DSWD. So Mamirna explained to us very well that these people have been doing it for decades. They know what you're doing. Just trust it. And personally, I said, it's up to God, really. You are just an instrument, and you know what you're doing, so you will give us the best match for us. And they did. They really, really did, and we're very happy.
That's so great. Thank you for sharing that. It's so nice to hear stories of families who have had good experiences working with our local agencies here in Manila. Yung totoo kasi is madaming takot, or there are a lot of questions or fears na hindi naman founded, di ba? Parang sometimes it's just the fear of the unknown, the fear of not knowing what to expect. But I
Yes.
think hearing your story, and the beauty of you being able to share your story, is we're hearing it firsthand from someone who experienced it, and how KBF was really there to hold your hand, Miss Mirna, and the team that they have to really make sure that the adoption is not just done legally, but done with the best intentions for you and for the child.
Exactly.
And that's really what we're all after, right? That's really what we ultimately desire. So I just want to put a quick shout out that if other people have questions and you're watching on the chat, maybe you have questions about adopting through an agency, or you have questions about Zen's journey through loss, and then how she came to adoption. Whatever it might be, if you have questions for Zen, feel free to post it. In the meantime, I'll continue to ask Zen a few questions. I'm really curious to hear about just the timelines, because that's something that we get asked a lot. You don't need to walk us through everything, but generally, what are the milestones when it comes to adopting through an agency in terms of the timelines involved? we know the answer that nobody likes to hear is it's case to case, but it's really it's a true answer. The true answer is it's really case to case. There's no clear cut timeline and time frame for these things. There's so many variables involved, and as much as we don't like hearing that, it's the truth. But I'd love to hear from your experience, Zen. What were the timelines like for you in terms of from you mentioned when you put in your application for adoption till you took Marco home till it was actually complete and you issued a new birth certificate and everything like that.
So first, I have to give a disclaimer out there. I'm not a patient person. I mean, I wish I were, but I'm a work in progress. But my husband is very, very patient. He's the, for everyone who knows him, they know that about him. He's very patient. He's just a cool cucumber. So, in when we submitted our documents in KBF, it really depends on how fast you can, because there's just so many requirements. I'm not gonna
Right.
sugarcoat it. There's just so many requirements. And
Right.
personally, why? Because they want to make sure you are, you are who you are, because it's not like you're applying for a job. It's more than the job that you're applying for. So, it should
Absolutely.
be that there should be so many requirements. I mean, because it's innocent human being that you're taking in as your child. So that's why I on hindsight, I thought maybe that's why they have so many requirements. And, our social worker did a home visit. She has to make sure that our home is ready. I mean, she interviewed everyone who's in our household, and she had to ask if our home was ready, if they know of our plans. And my sisters had to give out supporting letters of our decision that they support us. So since they're based abroad, they were able to email it to my social worker. So after everything was already, Miss Mirna gave us a lot of questions to answer, and then she had to prepare this home study report. And I think this report has to be the one that she will present to the matching committee, and that's when we are ready to be matched to a baby. So when they do the matching conferences, I'm not really familiar how often they do it, but in that matching conference, the social workers present the couples, and then the other social workers also present the babies. I mean, it's literally matching them to get together. I mean,
Right.
they have a lot of considerations, and then they even, by the way, before I forget, you can actually choose a gender when you want to adopt. You can choose a gender. You can choose the age. Yeah, the age. However, for us, my husband was just so, that's just how kind-hearted he was. He told me that, you know what, hon, let's not choose a gender. Like what? Like, I want a girl. I've always wanted a girl. But he said, it should be, how we do about with adoption. Your heart should be open to whatever God will give you. Because on the onset, if you're already choosy, that means that you're gonna have so much bias when you're given a match. So that's why open your heart. Whatever God will give you, that's it. So we told Miss Mirna we're not gonna choose a gender. Whatever gender you give us, we're fine as long as the baby is below 1 year and 6 months. So we just kept it at that because that was a very realistic expectation, as advised by our social worker, because sometimes it just took so long for these babies to be ready for adoption. So after that matching, we went to the orphanage. We saw him right away, but we were not able to have him home right away because we have to wait for this document from the government. I think it's called a papa. I can't remember what that document means anymore, but it's like a document, like basically stating that you're now legally foster parents to this boy. You can bring him home, and in 30 days you have to submit for his petition for adoption in the court. So his gotcha day, I mean, when you say gotcha day, the day he came to us here at home is December 21. So our son technically has two birthdays, December 21 and September 8, because we have to celebrate it every year because it's it's a happy day for his gotcha day. It's a happy day. So after that, the next year, that was 27 when we got him. 2018, immediately within 30 days, we were able to file it in court, the adoption petition. And then we were in contact with our lawyer. We also love our lawyer. We also believe like our lawyer was a match made in heaven. I mean, she's very professional. We didn't have any problems with her. She's done this numerous times. And so I think it was also a requirement to have it published. But with our papers, it did not move. We didn't get any update for like a year in terms of the judicial part of it. There was nothing. It was like I was trying to text my lawyer, like, did they forget about us? Why why is there nothing from you guys? So, but you know what? It turned out it was a good thing because we were actually assigned to a new family court that just opened here in our city, which is a good thing because this new family court, this new judge that we were assigned at, he's basically new. He has no, his schedule was just basically open. So we started our first hearing. So again, we submitted January 2018. Our first hearing was set March 2019. That's more than a year after we submitted the adoption petition. But guess what? It started at March. By May, we were done. That's how fast it was because, his court was just open. The schedules was just open. It was just a breeze. I mean, when you asked me, it was nerve wracking because we had to testify. My husband and I, we were in the witness stand. You have to like take the oath, testify. It's really nerve wracking. I describe it as the most difficult job interview I've ever had in my life, which, it should be because, it's more than a job. It's really being a parent that you want to prove to them. And then, so we were done by May. By October of 2019, we were done. The decision was released. He's now, he agreed with the petition that we submitted. He is now our son legally. We just had to wait for the finality from the court. We got the finality January, I think it was January 2020. And by March, we had the birth certificate. We were now official parents of our son. It just felt so surreal. It was the second birth certificate that I've ever seen with our names on it. Like the first one was from our baby who died, and this one is, from Marco. So it just felt so surreal. I really felt like Jesus was telling me, this is the joy I was telling you about, the joy that nobody will ever take from you anymore. So it was beautiful. I mean, I would say it took a while, but from what I heard, ours was pretty fast. It's just like what you said, it's case to case, but you just really have to have patience in your heart. I really feel like God did it in this manner because He wants me to cultivate patience in my heart, to really value being a mom to Marco all the more because we went through all these difficulties to have him. So all the more I really feel like how precious this boy is to us.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, what a journey. I mean, even just the last 2 years, right, of waiting and fighting for your child. I think that's one of the things that when people ask how long it takes, we always say it might take long, but it's worth it.
Yes.
This is why these children need someone to fight for them, to stand in the gap for them, to say, even if it takes long, I'm willing to wait, I'm willing to persevere, I'm willing to stay in faith and to trust that God will be the one to bring this to completion. And I love what you said here, just that assurance that this is the joy coming back to you, right? That the joy that the Lord had promised you. He indeed was faithful to His promise in bringing you Marco and bringing him into your family. And just looking at the comments today, I can see just what an inspiration you are. It confirms that many are inspired by your stories, and we're so grateful that you agreed to share. Just as we close, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to maybe any advice that you would have or tips. There are a lot of families that could be watching, maybe not now, maybe in the replayed version as well, where maybe adoption's been something that's been sitting on their heart, but they haven't moved forward with it yet. What would you be able to say to encourage them? How would you encourage them with regards to this topic?
So I think, it took me 15 years to accept adoption, the idea of it. So for me, I know how scary it is. I know the bias that comes with it. You just really have to ask yourself, you just find it in your heart, a genuine reason why you want to adopt. And just like what I said, you just genuinely want to love another human being. That just should be your only reason why you want to adopt. And once you have it in your heart, you're really the only person who knows that. I mean, I have some friends who don't have children. I mean, I do tell them my story, but in the end, it's your personal decision. You are the only person who knows if you are ready to adopt, because it's very important to be ready to really accept it wholeheartedly. Because you have to also be realistic. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but these children that are available for adoption, they do not come from perfect families, and that's true. I mean, we cannot be turn a blind eye on that. But that's the reason why all the more we should love them, because we should give them the opportunity to have a better life. It is not their fault why they were born into this kind of situation. It's just unfortunate. I mean, I wish their biological parents can take care of them, because they really should belong to their biological parents. But unfortunately they can't, so they have to have the next best opportunity, and that is to be with families who will genuinely love them. So I think that's the only thing I can say, that in adoption, it's scary, but then just try to open your heart a little bit, because you will be shocked. Like me, I'm so shocked at how much joy adoption has given me. And because I mean, with joy is just so overflowing that it really compels me to really share it to more people. Like, I was like that before, but now it has really changed me, and it has given me so much joy that I never imagined. So that's why when wrote there in our story that our journey to parenthood was not an easy one, but we won't have it any other way, because in the end, God's plan is perfect. That's just it. He always wants the best for us. It happened to us, you know. It just took a while, but I really feel in my heart that um God really wanted to nurture us to be the best parents that this boy deserves.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. So inspired by your story. And I'm glad you mentioned that your story is actually up on our website. So for those who would like to, go through the details of Zen's story, or would like to, maybe share this story with your friends, you can share this link with them afterwards. It will still be available on our Facebook page. And the article is also available on rohifoundation.org. And, when I heard your stories, and I knew it was something that would encourage a lot of people. And I'm so grateful that you said yes to sharing it. For those who are watching, if you know families that would benefit from maybe chatting with Zen, or we mentioned earlier we do online consults, and we've asked Zen if she would be willing to share with families her story directly, because I know there are lots of details, and just given that we only had a little bit of time together today, hindi natin mapag-usapan lahat. We weren't able to cover everything. But when I heard Zen's full story, I mean, there's so many, the intricacies of her story, the details, the timing. If you have questions that pertain more to her personal journey, she's been so gracious to say yes, that she would be open to scheduling a consultation. So if you do that, you can always schedule on our platform. The link is, you can see it there. It's a bit.ly link, and it's that /RF adoption consultation. And you can actually just specify there, I'd like to talk to Zen. I'd really like to hear her story. Let us know, and we'll arrange a time with Zen so that she can chat with you, and also just be able to inspire you some more. So Zen, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing your story in this platform. Even though you said you were nervous, hindi obvious. And you're such an encouragement to us and to so many. I really also would just want to, Zen, would you like to acknowledge ang daming taga KBF na nanonood? And is this Myrna? Is Myrna your social worker? Wow. Well, there's Myrna. And so, Miss Myrna, thank you for all the work that you do. It's wonderful to hear about social workers like you. And we're so grateful for your work, and also Glenda. So, then anything you want to ask? There are those who are
Hi.
watching.
We love KBF. We're so grateful to them.
I'm glad. Yeah, that's so great to hear that. And so, at least now, for those who are watching, also, if you have questions, I'm sure Ms. Myrna or Glenda would be happy to also assist you if you decide to contact KBF in starting your adoption journey. So, thank you so much. Again,
Can I just say hi to my sister? She was also online. It's 4 a.m. in Florida. I mean, 5 a.m. in Florida, but she's online. Steph Maharath, that's my sister.
Wow, it's 4 a.m. in Florida. Wow, okay.
Yeah, there. That's my sister, Steph. Hi, Steph.
Okay.
So, hi, you waited for me to be online. Oh, hi, Jet. Yeah. Jet is also one of the families that is from KBF. Our sons came from the same orphanage. They're like classmates, so we're very close to them
Oh,
too.
cool.
Hi, Jet.
Oh, well, Jet, we'd love to meet you as well. I think it's so nice to lots of
Yes, also Romy is also one of the leaders of the adoption group I just recently joined. He has a very, I mean, he has an amazing story too. You should also
Oh,
have
would
him
love
on.
to hear it.
He's a
Well,
very active adoption advocate. You'd love his story. He adopted twice.
oh, that's wonderful. So, this is what I love. I love that there's a community and it's a growing community. And our heart at Rohe Foundation is really to be able to celebrate adoption, that culturally we'll be able to combat the negative stigma, which we didn't have time to discuss today, but I'm sure Zen will get you again to talk about that. I know you had to go through that in your own personal journey as well. But thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you again soon. And we invite everybody to check out Zen's story on our website as well. Thank you, Zen. Thank you so much.
Rina. I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm very
Oh.
humbled with the opportunity that God gave me. Thank you so much.
Oh, the pleasure's ours. Thank you also. Thank you for encouraging us today. So there you go. So grateful to have met Zen. I hope that you were just as encouraged as I was. Just as we close up, just a couple of reminders about next week. So do join us on July 28th. That's Tuesday at 4 p.m. We have Joanna Blanding, the founder of Giving is Social. As I mentioned, they're very close to us because we've done a few events. They've supported Rohe Foundation and the Pregnant Women in Crisis program in a very big way through an event that they did, a concert with Shamora in 2018. We're also doing a very special giveaway. So we're giving away, I think, 3 copies of her book, the Giving Back Guidebook. And it's a really great book. It's catered for actually young professionals. So if you're a young professional, or if you're not, someone, or you just want to learn a little bit more about how you can give in a sustainable way. I think especially in a day and age like this, we want to give. We want to give to different charities. We want to be generous, but we want to make sure that our giving is making an impact. How do we know that that where we're giving is actually making an impact? So that's why you say small act, big impact. So we're going to be giving away several copies of her book, if I'm not mistaken, 3 copies of her book to those that share the stream. So as soon as this is over, the stream for next week's episode with Joanna is going to be available. And if you share that, we're going to be tracking all the shares and we're going to randomize it. So we'll be announcing the 3 winners next week. The book is available on Amazon as well if you'd like to get your hands on that. So do look up the Giving Back Guidebook. More information on our Facebook page as well. But that's it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that we'll catch you next week. And I hope that today's discussion with Zen was something that encouraged you just as much as it encouraged me. So thanks. We'll see you next week. Bye.
I was telling her, these are the 3 types. You have your biological dad, you know what it is, right? But put it in your head. You have your logical dad, and you have your real dad, So doing it this way until eventually, before she was 5, she was asking the question, and we were able to sort it out really well.
We're here because adoption was God's idea, and we hope the church would catch on to that. And so that's really the heart of the Rohe Foundation.
You will impact generations of people. Because that person will be married, will have children, and children's children. I'll tell you, the impact you make in their lives will impact future generations of people. There are no unwanted children, just unfound families. I hope we can find some of them right here in this room.
This is the truth that the world needs to hear today. That adoption is at the very heart of the gospel.
And adoption's a beautiful thing. It's not plan B. We adopted because we saw just how beautiful adoption was in the Bible.